and let me know when we go live, Corey.
Give me just one moment. It's saying that I don't have permission, but I'm trying again. There we go. It's connecting now.
All right.
And we're live.
Thank you, Corey. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone had a wonderful week. Today is February 17th, 2023. The time is now 9:02, and I'm going to bring the Prince George's County House Delegation meeting to an open. Today we have a good visitor, one of our very own, his dad, Julian Ivey, Delegate Ivey. His father, Congressman Glenn Ivey, will be here to give us some guest remarks. We have Delegate Harrison, who's going to provide prayer for us, and we're going to talk about the bills that we'll be discussing on Sunday, just to have like a precursor, just kind of not go into detail as we will on Sunday, but just walk through which bills are on the late file list. Okay. So looks like the congressman will end up joining us around 9:30. So what we'll do is we'll bring him in after we go through the bills for the late filed session. Delegate Fletcher Harrison, can you please bring us to a prayer?
Absolutely. We all know that this is a day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and we will be glad in it. We love this liquid sunshine because we know from it, we get all wonderful things that God has provided for us. So Father, we come to you right now in the name of Jesus, just thanking you, loving you, just being grateful that you thought enough to create us so that we can serve you and your people. So Father, as we go forward this day and in all of our days, we ask that you would just give us everything that we need to make sure that we do the right thing for your children, the people of Prince George's County, and those of the state of Maryland. Give us the strength, the wisdom, and the fortitude to do all that we need to do in your name. And with that, I just say, bless the Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Delegate Harrison. Phenomenal second vice chair of the delegation. Appreciate that prayer. Okay. So since Congressman Ivey won't be on until 9:30, like I said, I want to get us just kind of jump started for Sunday. Just kind of walk through. These are all the bills that we're going to be having brought before us. And so let's start with Delegate Fennell with County Affairs.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Chair and delegation. The late file bills we will be listening to for County Affairs on Sunday at 4. We have Prince George's 403-23, payment in lieu of tax assessment, lower income housing, which is Prince George's County Delegation. We also have the Prince George's County Economic Development Business Improvement District, which is Prince George's PG 407-23 delegation. We also have Prince George's 410-23, Town of Forest Heights, Prince George's County Urban Renewal Authority for blight clearance. Okay, we also have Prince George's 412-23, Prince George's County Property Tax Credit, Office of the Annual Tax Increase. This is delegation, of course. And also the last one we have, that's it. Actually, that's it, Mr. Chair.
We got a couple of more. We have the Economic Development Independent Innovation Agency
Prince George's County, yes, 4 dash,
establishment.
yep, Prince George's 401-23. I missed that. Thank you.
Yep, and then we also have the Prince George's County Commercial Property Rights of Purchase.
Yes, we do have that one. Yes, thank
And-
you.
And then one more, we have the Prince George's County Land Use Development of Neglected Property.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And that is it. That's what's gonna be on the docket for the late file bills for Sunday, and we will be hearing these bills on Sunday, and that's it. And watch the website for Prince George's County Affairs, reference to meetings. A meeting on Wednesday of next week will be at 9 o'clock. And please look at the agenda, which will list the bills that will be on it. Thank you so much. And that's it. That's all I have for today.
I see Delegate Turner had her hand raised for a question.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everybody. Could you give me the last two bills that you just said? Can I have the numbers on those? Okay.
It's Prince George's. Do you want the HB number, the House Bill
Just
number, or the
the
delegation?
last four numbers. I mean, not the 23, but what is it for also?
So the House Bill number is 850,
850, okay.
and then the other House Bill number is 1026.
1026. Okay,
Right.
that's all I need. Thank you very much. Just
Problem.
write down stuff. Okay, bye.
And all of the bills that we'll be hearing have House Bill numbers as well. So they're able to be pulled up on the House website, the General Assembly website, as well as they're posted on the Prince George's County House Delegation's website. All right, let's move on now to.
Somebody's hand is up. Shane, somebody's
Oh.
hand's up.
Shane?
Yes, I
That's
just wanted to
council.
make a quick clarification. The House Bill 850, which is 40523. That was actually, it originally was submitted to DLS as a county affairs bill, but we didn't know what it would look like. And now since it's been drafted, it's actually it's going to be redesignated as bi-county. I
Okay,
discussed this yesterday with Latasha or earlier in the week, and it was drafted to the land use article, so.
gotcha. Thank you, Shane. Appreciate that. So that's one less bill off your plate, Delegate Fennell.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Right.
And Shane,
Okay.
can you email me that? Thank you.
Sure.
All right, we're now going to move on to the Bi-County Committee report from Delegate Valderrama.
Thank you, Chairman Charles. One less off her plate, but one more on mine. With that said, we did not have a meeting this past Thursday. I wanted to make sure, it was my understanding the Legislative Black Caucus had a meeting with the governor, so I did not want to have members rushing out of the government house just to get on the meeting. And there was some issues on some of the legislation that we needed to still work through. With that said, I do plan to have a meeting next week. I don't know which bills will be on the docket yet, but I do try to make sure I notify with advance notice as much as possible, especially for the public. With that said, as far as this Sunday, Latasha and I met over how many bills were coming over. There's quite a bit, but I haven't seen the whole list yet in order to put together for the following meeting. But Latasha, if you could just review the ones that are coming up this Sunday, that would be helpful for me. Latasha, just so you know, and I apologize to anyone who was trying to reach us yesterday and including today, my staffer is out of the office. So as far as bills that are going to be this Sunday, I don't know what they are. So Latasha, if you could just let the public know and the members know what those
I'll
bills
go ahead
are.
and I'll
Okay,
go ahead
thank you,
and
Chairman.
Delegate Valderrama.
Okay.
All right, so as you heard from council, the Prince George's County Commercial Property Rights of Purchase Bill is now moved over to Bi-County. We also have Washington Suburban Sanitation Commission, Minority Business Enterprise Utilization, Revisions and Extension. We also have the Maryland National Capital Parking Planning Commission, Collective Bargaining Agreement Implementation, Dispute Arbitration. These look like Latasha.
I'm here.
are these all the late file bills?
Yes,
Sound like some of the bills that we've already had, and for the committee. Parking Planning Commission Restructuring Task Force. Montgomery County, Maryland National Capital Parking Planning Commission, Commissioner Requirements and Open Meetings, Montgomery County Planning Trust and Transparency Act, Prince George's County, Maryland, Washington Regional District standing to request review of zoning, land use decisions, Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission, Commissioner Qualifications, and 2 General Manager voting powers. Maryland
Mr.
National.
Chair,
Delegate Harrison.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I didn't mean to jump in. I think we've heard all, I don't think those are all late filed. I think those.
Yeah, as I was reading through the bills, that's definitely, this is the list that Latasha provided me. I asked for the list.
yes, yeah,
That
I'm sorry.
specifically broke out the late file bills.
Yes, I apologize. All of those bills are on there because we had not heard them, so I put all of those on there. But not all of them are the late file bills. Some of them we just haven't heard or voted on.
So they shouldn't be listed as a late file.
Should not be
Mr.
listed
Chair,
as late
Shane
file.
has his hand up.
Shane,
Yes, I can go over the light bills that will be just for the Sunday if you like.
Yes,
thank you,
please.
Shane.
So we have 10823 Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission, Commissioner Qualifications and General Manager Voting Powers. The bill is sponsored originally by Delegate Holmes. We have 11023 Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission Membership Alterations. The bill is sponsored by Delegate Taveras. We have 11123 Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission Service and Regional Transit Districts in Prince George's County Contracts. That's a county exec bill. And then the one that we just went over, 40523, that was sponsored by Delegate Taveras as well.
How many was that, Shane? Was that 6?
4 total that are late.
4 total, okay, four late file, okay.
And Shane, I think the same will go, because if this happened on this particular list of bills, the same goes for the county affairs bills as well.
Mr. Chair.
Delegate Healy has.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just could you list the House bill numbers on all of these as you go through?
Sure, I don't have those up. I can pull them up on the website and give those.
I have them.
For those 4 that you just read?
Yeah, I have them. Sorry. 108 is HB 0873.
Okay.
Yes, and then MCBG 110. Membership alterations, that's HB 1007. And then the MCPG 1123 is HB 0872. And the one that was 40223 is HB 850.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The county affairs one is correct.
All right, are there any other questions about the late file bills for county affairs?
No, Mr. Chair, I'm just delegate for now. No, there's none, but Shane, on Sunday, if you can, once I read the title of the bill, can you read the body of the bill? I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
And any other questions for the bi-county committee as well? Hearing none, we're going to move forward to the education committee. Shane, can you read out the late file bills for education committee?
Yes, there are just 2 late file bills for this Sunday. I don't have the House bill numbers, but I can pull them up in just a moment. The first one, though, is 50223. This is the big one. This is Prince George's County Board of Education and School System Revisions. and local public campaign financing for Board of Education members. That's sponsored by the chair. And then we have 50323, Delegate Washington's bill, or former Delegate Washington. It's Prince George's County Chief Executive Officer of Public School Systems Search Committee requirements.
So the
And-
HB number for 502 is HB 1079. And the HB number for PG 503 is HB 0432.
Delegate Tolles, do you want to give a quick synopsis of the meeting you guys had this past week in preparation for Sunday and the following for HB 1079?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oh, I'm sorry, I have a feedback. 1 second. Let me just get out of this. Okay, I think that's better. Good morning again, everyone. So I just want to, before I do that, if it's okay, Mr. Chair, are those, just to confirm, are those the late file bills? Because I believe Delegate Washington bill was not a late file bill. So the PG 502, I'm sorry, 503-23 and HB 432. No, I'm sorry, his integrity. I'm sorry, you're right. The integrity bill is the one that is not the late file bill, which was not.
That's the bill that went
So,
before
I'm sorry,
the,
all these HPGs and are confusing me, and all the kind of getting this information a little late, so it's confusing me. But here's the deal, everyone.
I believe
Okay,
it's the late file.
Starting over. We had a very good meeting on PG 502-23 and 503-23, which is HB 432 is 503-23 and 1079 is 502-23. So we just talked about what pretty much we had Kyra there. And the members had a work discussion over changes that we would like to see and amendments that we would like to see. We went over the bill line by line to kind of go over what the bill would do. In addition to that, as I indicated, the members went over changes they would like to see. And so, Mr. Chair, I don't know if you want to kind of do that now. I don't know if Kyra's on the phone, if she could kind of go over it, if that's what you want. I mean,
I'd rather leave the
substantial amount
committee
of
work to committee
amendments. I
work.
think you're muted. Can't hear you.
No, I'm not
Okay,
muted.
so we had substantial amount of amendments. I don't know if you want to spend that time this morning to go over some
No.
changes, but I would recommend that we don't. We can maybe do it. You know, she can go over those changes at the hearing if you would like, or we can talk about it in terms of the process. But there were several changes. For example, just real quick, you know, why is the salary doubled for the that was for 502-23, sort of the revisions. There were discussions about, you know what, I'm not even gonna try to remember. Is Kyra on the phone, or do you want to talk about that now?
Yeah, Delegate Tolles, we can leave the committee work for the committee.
I
I
can't
just
hear.
wanted
Oh,
to-
you.
He said we can leave the committee.
Oh,
for
I'm
the
sorry. I
committee.
couldn't hear a word you said. That was on my end. Oh, I can't hear.
Delegate
All right.
Tolles, the chair.
We're
said
gonna
we-
move out of the education committee. Something's going on with her Wi-Fi, with Delegate Tolles' Wi-Fi. But we're gonna leave the work to the committee. The education committee has a heavy lift with getting these amendments in to this bill in particular. It looks like a bunch of folks are having Wi-Fi problems in the building. So if the public is having issues hearing or listening in, just know there's some technical difficulties taking place within the building right now with the few of the delegates' computers. All right. Now we're going to move forward with Delegate Lehman with law enforcement.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I'm having Wi-Fi issues as well in my hotel room, which is to say I have no Wi-Fi service at all on my computer. And so I am unable to bring up the list of bills that the Law Enforcement Committee discussed on Thursday. It was very useful. I do apologize that I did not realize at the time of last week's delegation meeting when I announced that I wanted to have a session yesterday and at least go over, just the basics of these bills and offer my subcommittee members an opportunity to ask questions. I did not know of the governor's breakfast with the Black Caucus. I would not have gone forward with it had I known. However, I will say that Delegate Alston and I were on the entire time, and Delegate Woods, I'm grateful to her for joining us from the governor's breakfast, and we were able to go over with Mr. Holland, our subcommittee counsel, the basics of these bills. So I would read the title and he would give us sort of the description, and we were able to ask some questions. I don't know, how many members of the listening public joined us by YouTube, but hopefully it was a little bit enlightening. It certainly was for me. So we went over 4 late filed alcohol bills. We held off discussion on 1 late filed alcohol bill, and we discussed a sheriff's department bill. And so that I think it was useful in getting sort of a jump on knowing a little bit about these bills ahead of Sunday. Again, because I don't have Wi-Fi service here, I cannot consult that list of bill numbers, everyone. I do apologize, or titles, but it's 4 alcohol bills and possibly a 5th, and a sheriff's department bill from Delegate Long. I don't know if we have committee counsel or Mr. Chair, you have those descriptions and want to share them.
Yep, I'll ask that Shane breaks them out, our counsel.
Sure. Latasha, if you're able to stand by with the bill numbers, but the late bills that are on this Sunday schedule are 30223, Prince George's County Alcoholic Beverages Sales Go-Go Events. That's sponsored by the chair. The next is 30623. That's Prince George's County Alcoholic Beverages Class B Stadium, Baseball Stadium, Beer, Wine, and Liquor Licenses. That's sponsored by Senator Watson. 30723, Prince George's County Alcoholic Beverages Prohibition on Class A Beer, Wine, and Liquor License Transfers. That's sponsored by Delegate Alston. 30823 is Prince George's County Office of the Sheriff Duties and Deputy Sheriffs. That's sponsored by Senator Jackson. Then we had a bill come in that was designated originally as 40323. It's going to be changed to 30923. And that's Prince George's County Alcoholic Beverages Main Street Laurel Development, and that's sponsored by the chair as well. So that's a total of 5 bills.
Yeah, thank you for that. And that last bill, as the chair knows, is in sort of transition. It will be discussed Sunday, and there will be changes to that. I did not realize I didn't have Senator Jackson's name on my list. I guess he's the Senate cross-file of the Sheriff's Department bill. There were several questions about that related to, union representation of the, because there was language in there, I think, about the FOP, which was a little bit confusing, but we should have an interesting and hopefully robust hearing on Sunday about all of these bills, Mr. Chairman, and that is all that I have for law enforcement.
Okay, would you like me to read the HB numbers?
Yes.
Okay, so PG 30223 is HB 0784. PG 30523 is HB 0437. PG 30723 is HB 10114. PG 308 is HB 433. And the one that was changed, it was PG 40423. It is now PG 30923. And I do not have the HB number on here for that one.
Which bill is that, Latasha?
It was previously 40423. It is now PG 30923.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, sorry, it is HB 0946.
Okay. Delegate Lehman?
Yeah, just, excuse me, really briefly, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to comment, some of these bill numbers are becoming confusing, at least for me, for this reason, that we're going back and forth. And I think for the listening public, it could be useful, but it could be confusing to be referring to both the delegation number and the HB number. But what's throwing me off is some of these numbers, as in previous subcommittee discussions, seem to have very low bill numbers. And if these are late file bills, that's not possible. So a bill number that's 400 and something, that would not have been a late filed bill based on its number. So that's a little confusing, unless we're getting some of these numbers wrong.
So what took place, Delegate Lehman, is about 9 of the bills of the late files were submitted in enough time, but bill drafting was behind. So they didn't get the bills to us in enough time for us to do our hearing previously. So even though we submitted the bills and they had bill numbers associated with them, we couldn't do anything until we had the actual blue back so that we can discuss the bill and provide it to the public so they can have consumption of it as well. So that slowed us down. And now that's why you see some of the numbers are low numbers.
Okay.
But they're still considered late filed because we had to at least get it to the public so they can see the bills themselves.
I see. Okay, that was throwing me off. Thank you for the explanation. And even after 5 sessions now, I'm not sure I understand that sort of inside working of drafting, especially as something transitions from local to the House bill status. But thank you for enlightening us.
Delegate Haley?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Delegate Lehman, I wonder if you could provide us who the local sponsors are of these late file bills in your committee.
I would have to ask for help from committee counsel, but off the top of my head, one of the alcohol bills, I believe, is Delegate Jazz Lewis. Another is Tiffany Alston. Another is on the
Okay, well, let me ask you about the one that I have had people from my district call you about, which is the one on transferring the licenses.
That is Delegate Alston.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, is that it, Delegate Haley?
That is it. Thank you.
Okay, Delegate Alston?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to know if we received an answer from the alcohol subcommittee chair about alcohol day and whether or not these bills were going to be heard on Monday.
Yes. So I had a discussion, but it was my misunderstanding because they were being referred to as late file bills, but as the chairman just said, I guess there was a holdup in bill drafting. So these bills were actually dropped. Is that correct, Chairman Charles?
That's correct. So these bills, they all have blue backs. These bills are in the system. We just have to get letters of support over to the ECM committee by next week. So for scheduling purposes, we'll be addressing the alcohol bills this coming week. Those will be the top bills we will focus on. Get those out the door, the ones we'll pass, and then that letter of support will go to the ECM committee so that you guys will have everything you need to vote favorably or unfavorably.
And I just want to mention, as chair of the alcohol subcommittee, that it has been the way of the subcommittee that local county bills, if they don't have a letter of support from the delegation, they're pretty much not moving. Just saying.
So for my purposes, will we need to present them on Monday?
No,
Yeah, we
not the
still-
letter of support. The bills
Not-
will be presented, but the letter of support, the chairman says he would like to have it for the hearing, but that is not needed. But we do want it as soon as possible.
Okay, so the bills will be presented on Monday.
Yes, because they were not late filed bills. They were presented to me as late filed, but when I saw that they had blue backs, and those aren't late filed. Late file means you haven't dropped them in the hopper, but they were dropped, as far as my understanding.
That's correct, Delegate Valderrama. So these bills are late in respect to the Prince George's House delegation, but they're not late in terms of House rules.
Correct.
that it, Delegate Austin?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, Delegate Lehman, I see you still had your hand up, so you just dropped it. All right, we
I'm
have
finished.
our special guest who's in the house now. Let's give him a round of applause. Our newest congressman to the Maryland delegation, our former state's attorney, the head honcho in the Ivy family, Congressman Glenn Ivy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. Now, you all know Jolene is the head honcho, so let's clear that up right at the beginning.
Listen, I heard the president say that yesterday.
That's right. Yeah, it's official. It's direct from the White House now. So, but look, thank you for giving me a chance to come and say hello to you all this morning. I think I've got some of my team here. Most of them, I think you'll know all of them. Beth McKenzie's my district director. I know she worked on the Hill before. Aaron Harawa is with me as well. He's my scheduler now. And Ramon Koryanoff is also with me again as my, my communications director. And he started on the Hill, many years ago too. So, you guys, who we are. Feel free to contact us if you have any questions. I just wanted to have a chance to make a couple quick points and hear you all's take on some things. One is we started reaching out to people about putting together the concept of a research triangle in Prince George's County and rolling that out. And the corners of that triangle are the University of Maryland, NASA, and the Agriculture Research Center. It seems to me that, the research triangle concept has been great in North Carolina. Some of my colleagues in Congress have talked about how it's helped to spur economic development over the years and elevated the profile of that state in a very positive way. I think we can do the same thing here. We already have those elements in place. There are also a lot of private businesses that are already in place to do work with those entities. And Conterra runs kind of through the side middle of it. Hopefully we'll get back up to full speed in building that out. So I had a conversation with the governor about it. I've chatted a little bit with the county executive about it. They seem excited about the idea, as do the people, the leadership players at NASA, University of Maryland, and the Agriculture Research Center. I'll spend some of that out more over time. We're just sort of having those initial conversations now, but everybody seems excited about the potential for it and what it can do. The other big issue I wanted to raise with you all is, and I think this is on your radar screen, but just to be sure, there's an affirmative action case before the Supreme Court that deals with admissions policies from Harvard and at the University of North Carolina. And the issue is whether racial preferences are going to be permitted by to be used for admissions decisions in universities. I'm pretty sure the Trump wing of the Supreme Court is going to strike that down. The larger point I want to make this morning, though, is I think the ripple effect of that decision will put at risk any kind of affirmative action or racial preference program across the board. So that would include procurement. I know we have a lot of policies in place that are aimed at increasing minority business participation in government contracts at the state and the county levels. I think all of those could be at risk, in part because eligibility for some of those programs is based on minority status. And if the Supreme Court says you can't use minority status, i.e. race, to make any kind of government decision that for a benefit purpose, that could be a problem for those programs. Same thing for programs aimed at, recruiting and promoting minority teachers, minority police officers, minority firefighters. All of those sorts of programs could be at risk as well. And I think the other aspect that could be challenged under those rules too would be pretty far reaching, not just from an academic standpoint and a procurement standpoint, but also in the private sector. So, I think, the hope I think at this point is that the Supreme Court won't go that far, but I think they've demonstrated already especially with the Dobbs decision, you know, basically striking down the constitutional right to an abortion. They've demonstrated they're willing to take the meat cleaver to a lot of policies that have been around for a long time. And I think this could be one of those. I'm happy to talk with you all about, you know, the circus that's going on in the House Republican caucus as well, and give you some takes on that. But I want to stop and, you know, thank you for giving me a chance to have a brief conversation with you, but also hear your thoughts and concerns or suggestions and recommendations for me in my office.
Congressman Ivy, it almost flipped and said Delegate Ivy. I was looking at Julian up there. But Congressman, thank you so much for coming before us, and we truly appreciate everything that you're doing for us. Since you've gotten to Congress, you hit the ground running. You brought up two things that I wanted to talk about: the Triangle Research Corridor. I think that's a great idea. And the governor actually came before the House Ways and Means Committee yesterday to talk about his economic development, Build Our Future grant pilot program and fund, which is an Innovation Economy Infrastructure Act of 2023. And I believe it's $10 million in grants that will be dedicated to helping wet labs and all types of lab spaces. I think this would be a great opportunity to figure out how we can bring some new minority businesses in and set them up in a position where they can grow in that Triangle Research Corridor.
I think that's a great idea.
Have you started having any conversations with any MBE businesses that could possibly go into those Triangle Research places?
Some, yes. For example, the leader of it's a business group around NASA, and the head of that happens to be African American. So we had a brief conversation when I did the tour at NASA last week about not only business involvement and how to, you know, retention and recruitment of businesses that are here and bringing in new businesses, but a specific focus on minority business. And in addition to that, NASA and the University of Maryland have programs that are targeting minority students, especially for STEM programs. The NASA program is tremendously underutilized, and they've got Nobel laureates there who are available to teach. I was just blown away by some of the research that's being done there, and you know, it's a national, in fact, it's an international leader on those kinds of projects. And we've got other work. The IonQ company, which is kind of a combination with the University of Maryland, it's an R&D spinoff, is doing work. I mean, they tried to explain to me what it is, but you know, that level of physics didn't exist when I took physics in school. But it's cutting edge. They're one of the three businesses in the world that are doing this kind of work. So I think there's a great opportunity for minority businesses and students to get on board with these programs, and the research triangle concept could enhance that, I think.
All right, thanks on that one. And the last question, and it's more of a discussion for all of us. I know especially what's happening with the Supreme Court, the Dobbs decision that came down. You know, we've took immediate action in the state, following right behind our speaker, to enshrine into law the abortion rights for the state. Is that something that you see that we could possibly do for the MBE program as well? Do you think that's something we should be looking at in the state, enshrining the MBE laws into law to protect us from what's coming down the pipeline?
Well, maybe, you know, keep a couple things in mind. The Dobbs decision struck down a federal constitutional right to an abortion, but expressly left it to the states to make decisions for themselves. That could happen here. I think that's unlikely, but it's possible. But if it does, you know, you guys have already put in place, you know, goals across the board. I think you're adding more this session too. And so if they go there, then I think we'd be in great shape at the state and local level. States and counties would be good. If it goes farther than that, though, and says these are unconstitutional, period. Remember, Dobbs just rolled back a constitutional right that, you know, according to the court was created. This would be saying that this is unconstitutional. And if they do it that way, nobody can do it. And so the move we'd have to make would be to go to proxy factors like socioeconomic factors, maybe geographic factors. The downside on those is that they haven't worked great in other jurisdictions that have tried that, but that might be what we have to do. I mean, one thought is, I know there are other jurisdictions that are looking at this already, like Boston. It might make sense for the state through the governor's office to start taking a look at what these other places are doing and pull some ideas together. And it might be a good summer study project too, depending on when the Supreme Court opinion will probably come out in June. Then everybody will know kind of how far they've gone. Summer study might be a place to go after we see what they've done.
All right, thank you so much, Congressman. I see the Delegate Lewis, the Majority Whip. He has his hand up for a question.
I do. Good to see you, Congressman.
Good to see you.
So my main question is about the perennial fight we've been in for over a decade on FBI, and we're all hearing that it could be weeks or months to a decision. I just want to know if you could both update us where you think things stand, and if there's anything else that we can do on our side to tip this in our favor.
Hey, great question. The sort of where things stand at the moment, Congressman Hoyer got in a 90-day provision that gave us an extension to sort of make another round at pitching to the GSA the factors that should be used in making the decision and why it should be put in Maryland at one of our two sites. That 90 days, I think we're about midway through it. So we've been told that GSA is going to have Maryland and Virginia make separate presentations, not next week, but the week after next. And so we're preparing for that. You might have seen Virginia did a press conference. I think it was on Wednesday. A lot of misinformation coming out of that. So I've got an op-ed that we're going to try and run, hopefully, the next few days in the Washington Post to try and address some of that, because we really ought to win. Even on the skewed factors that they put out, we ought to win anyway. And let me give just a quick example of what I mean by skewed factors. Normally for a project of this magnitude and expense, cost would be either the primary consideration or one of the tops. In this instance, the GSA elevated proximity to Quantico to the top and gave that a 30-point, made it a 30-point factor. And then, dropped the cost down to only 10 points. So the way they've set this up, cost is, the proximity to Quantico is 3 times more important than the cost of the overall project. And the reason that was problematic for us is because we save a lot of money, the Greenbelt site in particular, because it doesn't have to be cleared off and essentially doesn't have to be purchased. It's owned by WMATA, but we wouldn't have to spend money on it. And so we'd save $120 million over the Virginia site, which would have to be cleared. And it might even be more than $120 million. And then on top of that, the state and the county have put up money too to defray costs. So, the guesstimate is like we'd be $300 to $500 million cheaper for federal taxpayers if they put the site at Greenbelt. So I think we would win on those factors. And then the Quantico piece, y'all might have heard my point on this. They go to Quantico for training like once a year. So that'd be like saying we need to move the Pentagon to West Point because that's where they train Army officers. Doesn't make any sense. What they ought to be looking at is what these guys do every day. The FBI field offices is where they do most of their work, and they're in court. And the U.S. and the proximity to the federal courts and the U.S. attorney's offices, where the lawyers are that handle the federal cases. We went out on those hands down. I mean, the Greenbelt site, you're walking distance to the federal courthouse and the U.S. attorney's office. So it would be a perfect place to fit it for those reasons. So I don't mean to get on the soapbox.
No, thank you. We really appreciate it. And I just wanted to flag for all our constituents who are watching is one, Maryland has put $100 million in our budget. Virginia has not done so to make sure it's on our side as well too. And I really appreciate the partnership. The only other thing I was going to ask, is, so down in the southern part of my district, as well as Chair Char's district, you know, we have the Suitland Center where the census is, and the county's doing a lot of work to really transform that area. They're kind of an island, you know, so I guess this is more of just an ask than a question, is that when census comes to talk to you, either for budgetary reason or other reasons, please encourage them to get beyond their borders. Prince George's County is not going to bite them, I promise you. We would much appreciate them partnering wherever and however they can in the southern part of our district.
That's an excellent point. And, you know, we've been pushing that for, geez, like 20 years now, I guess. I think it might help, you know, as I understand it, there's some redevelopment coming and, you know, the surrounding area that might help with that. But I think there is a mindset that we have to help them get past, and, you know, from the standpoint of coming out beyond the gates, you know, being part of the community, buying lunch, you know, whatever, this interacting with the neighborhood, because Suitland is really, it's coming on strong. And I think we want to make sure they understand that. And we also think it's a good place for other government installations and businesses to relocate to.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Lewis. Delegate Harrison. Madam Second Vice.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Congressman, and
Good morning.
congratulations to you once again. It's always great to see you. Two things. As you were speaking of the research triangle
Yes.
earlier, or the thought of it, I would like to encourage you to consider Bowie State in that, with its proximity to NASA and the Patuxent Research Refuge. Those are areas, and certainly we've got some of the best and brightest at Bowie State University. Then the second thing that I wanted to mention, as we were talking about the FBI and with Virginia talking about Springfield, and although it's not on top of a metro as Greenbelt is, it has accessibility. I would just encourage you and remind all of us that so does Landover, the Landover site, and it is clear.
Yeah, it is. I think that's a fair point. It's clear site and ready to go. You know, acquisition would be an issue, but I think it's you know, easier to do than what would have to be done with respect to the Virginia side anyway. On the other point, yeah, absolutely. Bowie State's involvement and Howard University owns, I think it's Howard that owns some land over there by Beltsville that we want to have pulled into this. And sort of the outer ring of the research triangle concept would include, you know, Bowie State, NSA, and FDA White Oak. And so, you know, and there's already interaction going on between those entities. We just want to build it out. I want the core piece, this is just us talking, I want the core piece to be put in place first though, because I want it to be the Prince George's Research Triangle. I don't want it to be the Central Maryland Research Triangle, something like that. It's important for us to make sure that people understand these entities are in Prince George's County. These businesses that work with them are in Prince George's County, so that we can really maximize the bang for the buck. But I think you're right. There's a lot more that we can do as we expand out to the next ring of those, and Bowie State's definitely part of that.
And there are lots of minority opportunities, and I want us to, I'm kind of heavy on that right now. So whenever you hear me talking, the first thing I'm gonna ask about is, where's the minority participation? Where's the minority equity? And so with mentioning Bowie State to me is a part of that equity. And I just want to keep that in front of all of us. So whenever you hear me talking, that's what I'm going to be saying these days.
Amen.
Amen.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Delegate Harrison. Delegate Tavares.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for coming, Congressman Ivy. I think I heard both of your talks in Montgomery County and here.
Yeah.
I do want to say that I think we have a common individual, Clint Winters, who just passed a couple of weeks ago. And I just made sure that I provided a recognition on our behalf, on yours and I's behalf, at his funeral.
Thank you.
No problem. With regards to the Purple Line, as you might have been reading in the paper, there is no clear price point at this time of how much this ultimately is going to cost. And I'm very concerned with the fact that we've lacked the level of expertise in negotiating to include incentives for individuals to finish early to receive a certain percentage of a bonus if they finish 3 months ahead, 6 months, a year ahead, and you would stratify, you know, how much of a bonus they would get. And that was in the previous and initial contract, and it seems to be absent in the renegotiated contract. Hence, now there's zero incentives to finish on time. In addition to some additional changes that have been made in the contract that have made it a little bit more problematic that have increased the cost of production, and to the fact that we all know that there has been a supply chain issue that has been affecting nationally due to COVID. So how committed is the federal government in helping us be able to fund the Purple Line? I mean, I heard the governor yesterday saying that he's been at Capitol Hill several times to discuss these things, but I hope that, what are you hearing on your end in terms of commitments in order to complete the Purple Line?
I think everybody's committed to getting it done, and I think there are pools of money. If I didn't mention this already, you know, I think one of the things the state needs to do, and all of us need to play our part in that, is make sure that the trillions of dollars that are flowing out of Washington right now are, you know, coming to us in the proportions that we should be getting. There's some of it's formula money, but a lot of it is discretionary money, and some of it's grants as well. You know, for a project like this, I mean, I'd have to look and see if there are infrastructure dollars available for it. I would think so, because this sounds, you know, exactly like the type of thing we'd be looking for, but I need to confirm that. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a, you know, I've been watching the Purple Line, not just as a citizen for you know, before this, but it's kind of distressing as to how this has gotten off, pardon the pun, gotten off track. And you know, the escalating costs and the like. I think we need to really kind of figure out what went wrong there. And
well, I'll tell you what went wrong.
Okay.
But I won't say it. I won't say it here.
Okay. Well, you know, we got to get it going again, because it's the, you know, the longer it takes, the more it costs, prices go up. You know, my sense is that some people are starting to wonder if it's ever going to get done, especially at the community level. And, you know, we need to get it moving again before we really kind of lose, you know, too much public support for it. And because of the benefits we will get as a community once it gets done. So I'll be happy to follow up with you offline on that and reach out to, we've got 4 members of our federal delegation who are on the appropriations committees, you know, so I'll definitely touch base and see where we are on that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Are those all your questions, Delegate Tavares?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions for the Congressman? Delegate Ivey, do you have any questions for the Congressman?
I think I know how to get in contact with him.
Maybe you could find out what's for dinner, right?
All right. Well, listen, Congressman Ivey, we truly appreciate you. Thank you for answering all of the questions that you did. I actually like this idea of the Prince George's Research Triangle. That's a really great idea, and I'm looking forward to see that grow into something definitely lucrative for a lot of the minority businesses in our area. So let's keep working towards making that happen the best way possible. And if there's anything we can do at the state level to help with that in terms of maybe some more dollars towards this Innovation Economy Infrastructure Act or something else later on down the line, let us know what we can do to make this come to fruition. But thanks again.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. And thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a great day.
All right. Are there any other questions about anything before we adjourn the meeting?
Mr. Chairman,
Delegate
Mr.
Ivey?
Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to have us double back to part of the discussion that was just taking place about dollars coming down from the federal government to the state and local jurisdictions. I serve on the Appropriations Committee now, and I'm on the Public Safety and Administration Subcommittee. And this week, we were briefed by one of the secretaries about the disaster relief money that came down from the federal government. And I'm not here to pit jurisdictions against the other, but we only got $13 million from these federal grant funds, whereas other jurisdictions got far more than that. And, you know, I'm not going to name names, but you know who I'm talking about. They got $1.1 billion. And so we got 1% essentially. And so I'm bringing this up to us as a delegation because when I mentioned it to the secretary, he punted the issue back to our county and he said, hey, you all didn't send us the receipts that we needed in order to get you this money. And so it was pretty embarrassing, quite frankly, just as a jurisdiction. So I want all of us to make sure that we're speaking with our county council members and members of the executive branch about how we can get these dollars going where they're supposed to be going. So just wanted to lift that up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Delegate Ivey. I think that's very important that we that you brought that to all of our attention so that we know. I think that's a conversation we need to have, and for the leadership team, we'll bring that up in the Monday discussion that we have with the executive branch and the chair and vice chair of the legislative branch in the county. Thanks again, Delegate Ivey. Delegate Lehman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm thinking I'm guessing that you were going to, in closing out, talk again briefly about the public hearing on Sunday. I just wanted to ask if it's not too much, if we could get an updated spreadsheet from your office on all those bills with both the Prince George's local bill number and the House bill number, so we can try and follow along during the Sunday hearing.
Yes, ma'am, we definitely can. And I know Tasha and Corey has been working to update that sheet, so it should be done by now.
Thank you so much. That's it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Delegate Lehman. Delegate Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I thought I was going to be the last person to talk. I wanted to thank all the Prince George's County, the delegation for, excuse me, I had my throat, for giving me the protocol. We are 100%. And I just wanted to let the Prince George delegation to know that I am so proud of y'all having no problems in having us to have 100%. And I want to just personally thank everybody from the protocol chair, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Delegate Turner. And Delegate Tavares, you look like you're the last question to close us out.
Not a question, just a comment and dovetailing on what I think that what Delegate Ivey just said is hugely important. As someone who worked in disaster relief, we're not capacitated right now to really handle a catastrophic disaster. And that money could help directly towards that, and particularly in mitigating flooding risk. throughout the entire county. So we should definitely be leveraging and using that money to address our flooding issues. And a lot of the creating our buildings for resiliency. And we could talk about a lot of these, like, and even in cyber protections. So there is a lot of space where we could use that money for disaster preparedness. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Severus. And yeah, these are things that we will definitely bring up on Monday when we have our meeting. But for that, since there's no other questions or no other comments, I'm just going to remind everyone that Sunday at 4 o'clock via Zoom, we will be having our late file bill hearing. The bills are located on the website for Prince George's County House Delegation. Please take a look at the bills and come with your questions. We will be limiting testimony from the public to 2 minutes, to only 2 minutes. So if you have a lot to say about the bills, I ask that you submit written testimony and limit your testimony verbally down to those 2 minutes. So the last day to sign up to testify for the bills are on Sunday at 9 o'clock in the morning. We have opened it up till 9 in the morning on Sunday. So please follow the links. If you do not have access to the links, please email my office and we'll get you access to the links so you can sign up for the testimony on Sunday. And Madam Vice Chair, I saw your hand was raised. And so I'll let you close us out if that's the case.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the reminder to everyone about the meeting on Sunday. I also just wanted to remind the members that we will, on Tuesday, right after the Democratic Caucus meeting, we will be taking a picture in the Prince George's County Delegation room. So just be camera ready come Tuesday morning. Thanks.
All right. Okay, well, thank you so much. All right now, so